Check.
Check, check.
Hello, hello.
I'm here.
Look at that. We're all present.
Shut up and sit down.
Go outside. See those kids? They're having the time of their lives riding their bikes. They know what's up.
I ride my bike. I ride my bike all around. Yes, I do.
Your addiction gets worse. You spend less time at work doing work and more time looking at bikes.
I ride by all my friends and I wave hello.
You are listening to the Dailed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. Contrary to popular belief, owning a bike doesn't make you a cyclist. You have to ride it as well.
My bike is very good.
Become obsessed with your bike. Fixate over specs, head angles, and weird things like tire
So I
rubbers.
better have my helmet on.
It's time to ride your brand new bike.
It's so much fun just pedaling up and down. Yeah.
One day you see a press release for a brand new bike. It's like yours, but 15% lighter, 35% stiffer, and it's red.
Hi, welcome back to the Dailed Podcast. I'm Jake Von During, and I'm here with Lance friggin' Hepler.
Lance friggin' Heffler.
Back in the podcast studio.
Right here for your pleasure, live in studio.
And you brought the mustache with
I
you.
do have quite a ridiculous mustache.
Sully is kind of working his way
It's
back.
kind of coming back. I'm like on the border between respectable and not respectable.
Are you and Brandy having fights lately? Is this your passive
Oh,
aggressive way of sticking it
my
to her?
relationship with Brandy is fantastic as far as I know.
Until Sully comes back, and then as far as she knows, she hates you.
That's exactly right.
Awesome.
You never know.
To his left, Mr. Evan Price.
I am drinking
Holy cow, that thing is
a
massive.
Razzleberry. Is anybody here a Peace Tea fan back in the day? I used to ride my skateboard to gas stations just to get Peace Teas. Way too many of them.
Oh, what's the other?
There's a lot of good flavors.
Oh, Arizona tea.
Arizona's
Peace
yeah.
Peace tea is much better than Arizona,
It
in my
is.
opinion.
For anybody who cares, the Razzleberry flavor, delicious.
How many ounces is that? 32?
Oh, so many. I have
24,
no
32,
idea.
somewhere there? No, 23, I think I said it.
23, yeah.
That can is massive.
It's huge.
How many servings in that can?
This barely fits in a lot. Oh, that's a good question. Okay, one size is their serving, so one can is the serving size. That's a ridiculous serving size.
Wow.
That's like 4 Cokes are in here, basically.
Nice. We got a special guest with us today, boys. Mr. Mike Guyvan. How are you, Mike?
Feeling much better this week.
We got you live here instead of on the line.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Can we throw out your AKA, your alias? Or are we wanting to keep that
That
on
needs
the
to
down
be his
low?
intro.
No, go.
That needs to be his intro, yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Beef Mountains.
Beefy.
Mr. Beef Mountains. Now, you've been going by that name for some time now.
For some time.
Dylan Wiggins, who we know kind of coined the term. How did that stick to you? I mean, I don't know. You've gone whole hog on that thing. Or full beef on it.
And I absolutely love it. And it's, in a way, actually kind of even motivates me to even train harder because, you can't be Beef Mountains and be slow. It's just you just
You got
can't.
to live up to the nickname.
But it's,
That's so true.
to me, it was very surprising on how quickly it stuck. Because everybody was because as soon as it came out, and then I think it was a ride later, I did a KOM, and all the comments are oh, Beef Mountains, and I was like,
Is that when you changed your Strava name then?
yeah,
Yes,
and then
okay.
it's and then it went on for a week like that. Literally, almost every ride that I did, there was a comment on Beef Mountain. So it's I just got to change it.
Yeah.
At that point.
This is not my internet name. This is.
My target for this week is this Dailed guy right here. All these Dailed guys are super strong, Beef Mountains, and this guy's got a crazy sprint. So what I want to do is stay on his wheel as best I can, at least so I can watch what he does.
We love you, Dylan.
How many people do you think actually know your name that you've raced versus Beef? Do you think more people know Beef Mountains than Mike Guyvan?
Oh, by far.
I think by a 50% ratio, 50% more people know you by your Strava alias.
The best part is you had a custom kit made with Beef Mountains on it. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's a skin suit, isn't it?
No,
It's-
it's actually it's a 2-piece.
Oh, okay.
But it looks like a skin suit.
It's like an
looks like a
extra
skin
small though.
suit.
It's It's when he's at pure KOM climbing weight. It's when that one comes on.
It's a one of a kind, and there is only one Beef Mountains out there, so
I love it.
Gotta love it. Very cool. Boys, how about some backpedaling? Mike, let's go and go to you, Mr. Beef Mountains. How was your last week? You do any bike racing?
No bike racing. It was just nothing but indoors as usual. I probably do more Zwift riding than almost anybody that I know. And that's just with work and family, it works out the best.
Do you ever race on Zwift?
No, I don't. Just because I don't know. I didn't particularly have hear necessarily good things about it.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not the best use of my training time.
Yeah.
So
it gets old after a little bit.
And for me, it's all about maximizing my training.
We'll have to talk about that a little bit later on in this little podcast. So you rode all week on Zwift indoors.
Yeah, which that's like 90% of my
I think
weeks.
Lance just threw up in his mouth a little bit.
That does make me sick a little bit.
You've got to be one of the better bike handlers I've ever met who spends that much time on Zwift too. Like I know a couple guys who are like all Zwifters but are still good bike handlers, and Mike definitely falls into that category.
And for me, because it's my biking started with mountain biking.
Yeah.
I mountain biked for years before. I always thought road biking was for the biggest sissies out there. And that you wouldn't catch me dead.
That's very true.
You wouldn't catch me dead in Lycra. And then I tried it on. I was like, ooh, it's actually very nice.
Right.
Very cool.
And then you started shaving your legs, and then it was all over. You went right full sissy.
I haven't gotten that far yet, but I wanted to, but never got permission from my wife. And my wife's like, you will never go that far.
She knows how much time that's costing you on some of these KOM attempts, right?
I'm trying to, and maybe one day I'll just
if we ever go after the China Ditch one, I'll talk to her and we'll be like, okay, make one exception here.
It might be one of those deals where you just have to ask for forgiveness later.
It will grow back, honey, I promise. Oh, that's funny.
Never do a triathlon, man. You'll start shaving your arms, and then she's just going to, that's not good.
Yeah.
Evan, what about you? How did this past week go? I know that you didn't have a race, but you're getting awfully close.
Yeah, I've got a race coming up this Saturday in Oceanside, California. One of the, Lance, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the oldest Ironman race, isn't it?
It's one of the oldest, I do believe.
It's got to be, because it used to be called Super Frog, I think, back in the day.
Doesn't the bike course go into the Marine base, right?
Yeah. I think it still does from what I know. It runs very close to it either way. Yeah. But so just came off a big training block. I'm trying something new that is basically train as hard as possible up to about 5-6 days before the race and see if my fitness can recover in very short taper. So kind of a little different approach than I've done before, but we'll see. It's going to be this is how a lot more of the pro field is actually doing their just with the structure of the races. Early season, if guys try to shove 3 races in, you usually run your tapers really, really close to the race. So today's like my first not really hard day in a while. So
nice.
Yeah. Feeling good.
You're going full gas at it. The
full
complete
gas.
opposite of what we're about to talk about today.
I know, yeah. Yeah, I did a almost 34-hour training week 2 weeks ago. So about a week ago now. Yeah.
So in the process,
I was not working full time during that. I definitely took that week off. That was a PTO driven at home training camp. But yeah.
So in the process of this whole go hard, go fast, go forever in a day, did you punish Strava at all? Did you take any?
No, I really wanted to so badly, but just like Guy Van with the not Zwift racing, I kind of had to decide I was obsessively specific with this training block. Yeah. This training block this took me about a month to develop it off of a lot of nerdy research and basically plug this in. And Josh was an absolute champ to say, okay, I'll do every part of this with you. And I was like, cool. I would never ask. There's very few. Wow. I mean, anybody who's tried to train high volume like that in triathlon, if you find anybody who's actually going to do all those training sessions with you, that's a lifelong training partner there.
It's not even just that. It's the fact that you guys can hang with each other.
And it was eerily, I mean, there were days where one of us would be feeling good, the other one wouldn't, but we hung with each other on basically every single, it was almost every single rep outside of our Saturday tempo run. Yeah. And that was it. Yeah.
Cool. I was just wondering if there was any casualties of war in there because of efforts that you're putting into the bike.
So There was definitely, I really wanted, the week before I started that, we did so at the Mike Myers time trial, I really wanted that 2018 Jack Frost KOM, and I was close, but not quite. Close, but no cigar.
Yeah. Next time.
Yeah.
Hey, Hep.
Yeah.
Welcome back, dude.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Pacific Northwest.
I was gone for like 5 weeks.
Yeah. Les just got back from training camp.
I just
glazed
him. Oh, yeah. This last week, actually, I took a couple days off the bike. We were traveling and we were rock hounding for a lot of it. That's kind of the second thing that Brandy and I do other than ride bikes and go to cool places is we were rock hounding in Nevada and Arizona.
How many pounds of rocks came back to the Hepler compound?
Oh, I'd be embarrassed to tell you.
Uh-huh.
It's probably a 50-pound bag of rocks that we brought back full of different...
where do all these rocks go?
They're in my rock section in the garage. I have a whole lapidary.
If you guys
setup.
ever
you know what
move,
lapidary is?
I do not. But if you guys ever move from this house, and you have movers, are they going to be like, "Oh yeah, we can throw the rocks away," right? They're like, "No, God, no. That's 2,000 pounds of rocks, and you should take all of them."
It's so ridiculous. It's like gemstones and fire agates and like cool crystals and like
actually really cool.
It's like a treasure hunt, is what I say. It's just me screwing up.
Will somebody inherit the rock pile?
No.
Serious question.
It'll just like get incorporated into the gravel of the backyard.
People will just at some point be like, "Why are there so many really nice gravel rocks?"
I've seen some of the things that Lance has found, and they're actually really stinking cool.
Yeah.
Anything that you brought home have any value to it?
Yeah. The fire agates we found are worth roughly $80 a carat, and I probably found 1,000 carats of it.
Holy cow, are you kidding me?
No.
You're so getting robbed for this now. My God, somebody's hopping your fence and stealing all those fire
agates. If it's polished properly, I mean, I have probably 1,000 carats that would probably polish down to like 500 carats worth, so it is actually worth something.
Nice.
And it's only found in like a couple places in the world, and one of them happened to be in Arizona where we were.
And you can just roll out there and take whatever you want?
Yes, it's
Who do you
BLM
sell
land.
those to?
Yeah.
Like who?
Jewelry makers.
Jewelry makers?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I've
Why
never
are more
sold
people
anything.
out there than harvesting that? I mean, is it just too much work to get them polished down?
Yes. It's a lot of work to polish them properly and to cut them properly. And it's also, it takes some time to find the right places. Because the nice places have actual mine claims and then it's private land.
Yeah.
But the BLM land where you can actually find things that you can just pick up and take, it's harder to find those places.
So of your 1,000 carats, could you just offload that to somebody that's willing to do the work?
Yeah.
And so
for a third of that price, I could just offload it. I could just sell it to somebody.
I'm just picturing Lance right now, like on a mountain bike, running away from a guy from his private property with one of these getting shot at, just like in Arizona.
So, a couple years ago,
did you get chased after?
No, I've never been chased. But like a couple years ago, I'm doing the Skull 120 course. It's a gravel race in Eastern Oregon, near Burns, Oregon.
Yeah.
And I am like head down, barreling down this course, and I start seeing huge chunks of obsidian all over the road. Okay, do you know what obsidian is? It's that super shiny black volcanic rock.
Yeah.
That when you
very
break
valuable,
it,
right?
It's not very valuable. It's just very cool. Okay, so it's this volcanic rock, and I'm like blasting down this thing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's obsidian. Because usually you find little tiny pieces of it, but these were like fist-sized chunks of obsidian.
Please tell me you're
And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Did you stop and get these?
I stopped and picked up one piece, but I was like, there was a segment I was chasing, and I had stopped in the middle of the segment to pick up this piece of obsidian. So, of course, like later in the day, I drove back out there with my wife, and I'm like, hey, I found an obsidian spot. It was on an Indian reservation, so it wasn't in any of the rock hounding books. And we now have all this really cool obsidian.
Is that considered poaching?
It might be. I'm not sure. I never wanted to find out if it was illegal to take it off the Indian reservation because we just took it.
Dentist, family man, investor, poacher.
Haunted.
Rock poacher.
Lance, you'd be the only guy that weighs himself down with rocks in the middle of a race.
Yeah.
It's the same thing happened in Moab once.
Spending $6,000 on a light mountain bike
And
mid-race
I
to
put
throw
20
rocks in
pounds
there.
of rocks in it. I was doing a loop in Moab, and I came across a chunk where there were these huge pieces of agate, like clear-looking agate, and I literally loaded up my Camelback with huge
If there's
chunks
value
of
in this, I
agate.
would do the same thing.
I'm taking this. It was embarrassing. Yeah, so I have done that.
International man of mystery, rock collector, Lance Hepler.
It's just such a silly habit. You know where it started from with me? I don't know. Sorry, we're going on a rock hound.
No, I'm actually very interested right now, so we're going down this.
I've traveled all over the world. I've been, a lot of places in the world, and I never wanted to buy souvenirs. So what I would always do when I would go to places, I would just find a rock, and I would write
pretty cool.
like Bitterray, France, 2013 on it. So
Do you have one from the Wall of China too?
I do have one from China. Yeah, cool. One from the Great Wall of China in like 2 different places. So I have these rocks with names written on them and dates from all over the world. Well, after doing that for a while, I started looking for cooler rocks than just the piece of gravel that I was like taking from somewhere. And it kind of snowballed from there. And Brandy took me to this one place, and it just like blew up from there. So, yeah.
This has been Rock Talk.
We really
Lance Hepler.
Let's take away lead out news and just go with
just
rock
go with-
talk
just
for
go with
now.
rock talk
Just be like,
for now.
what rocks do we have to talk about today? Somehow we just start blowing up on random like boards.
Have you ever seen, Lance, there's a couple guys, and I watch these videos just when I'm like, kind of want some, not necessarily quiet time, but I'm just kind of zoning out, something put in the background.
Yeah.
They also find these rocks, typically agates, and they polish them like diamonds on the wheels.
Yes.
It is some of those beautiful things you'll ever see. And I've actually looked at the machines on Amazon because my boy is actually, what you're describing, a rack hound, that's his dream.
That just wasn't it. Was just walk around and find rocks.
He'll come in the house just with pockets full of rocks. I'm like, dude.
So
I
Lance,
don't need to.
I should have taken him to the van at training camp because we had a ton of rocks I could have given him.
He would absolutely
Mike,
love
this is how we become professional cyclists. Is you and I just have to learn how to polish these things. Lance collects them for us, brings us back, and just one day on our rest day each week, we polish the crap out of them and sell them for 2/3 what he sold them to us.
That's right.
And there we go. We can retire from our jobs.
That's a whole nother thing. The polishing, that's what lapidary is. It's like cutting and polishing different rocks or gemstones and what. So that's what
I just feel like
lapidary means.
those businesses, and this is probably because I've seen too many movies and shows on this, is like I'd be scared to go into a business like that because I feel like they just kill people in those businesses. If you have like good product, they kill you.
And then he has like this whole book on like the different cuts and different angles and different, it's insane. It's like, dude, I kind of want to do that.
It's really cool.
It's kind of fun. You're out there digging and you find something really cool.
But
and
can
then
you
when
just-
I can
There were a lot of
actually
rock
make it better.
collectors actually around Appalachia. So like I know in West Virginia and Ohio, just because of like obviously the way the Appalachian Mountains are structured, they're very steep cliffs. So you can get some like older rocks further down.
There's
and
things you can find in every single state.
you should go to Ohio and bring back a cool rock for me. Go to the Cuyahoga River Valley. It's very beautiful there. I'm sure you could find a cool rock.
Hey, have you seen Joe Dirt?
Was he from Ohio?
Or meteoroid or asteroid that he found.
Oh, yeah. I do.
Oh my gosh.
Lance is just the slightly more
He's
polished
just
version of Joe Dirt.
polishing that turd is like, something just ain't right.
All right, that was
Funny.
that was good rock talk.
Too much rock talk. I did ride my bike this week,
That was-
however. I didn't just search for rocks. I got back late Friday night and ended up going out for a road ride with Jake and Ed on Saturday afternoon, which was fantastic. We just kind of got in our bikes and
Dinked around. Where do you want to go? I don't know. Where do you want to go? I don't care.
This way. Yeah. That was fun. And then we had a gravel ride on Sunday with 5 or 6 teammates that out in the Larch Mountain area. where we were talking about. That was a fantastic day as well.
Jones Creek to Grouse Vista, big old loop out there. It was 35 miles and it was beautiful.
Yes, we had a great time out there. So I did get to ride with my teammates after being gone for a month from all my teammates.
I've been wanting to ask you a question. Is that Babyhead gravel still out there?
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's not that bad, though.
It's not as bad. Ed did flat. He hit something and burped a wheel that wouldn't seal, hitting a Babyhead. For listeners who don't know, a Babyhead is a rock that is about the size of a baby.
More rock hounding here.
It's a rock that's about the size of a baby head that's just like the dome of the rock is sticking up out of the
and if you polish it and sell it to a jeweler, you can make $5.
You get $5. So, yeah, there is still some baby heads on a lot of the roads out there, but it really wasn't bad.
I wouldn't consider it to be problematic at all. So I think it was normal gravel riding. It wasn't all clean and plush and buttery smooth. It was some gravel. And
it was some gravel.
Fun. Cool. All right. Well, I think you kind of covered everything that I did. But you want to know a little fun fact?
You went rock hounding too?
Yeah. I had some gravel yesterday. No, but team training camp aside, this was the first week, and I can't even remember. I'd have to go back and look. It's probably been well over a year since I didn't ride on Zwift.
Oh, really? Not once?
Not one time. So I did do my row stuff. I'm doing the rowing one, the C2, the Concept 2, which has been fantastic in terms of trying to help my shoulder out. But I did not ride on Zwift one time this past week, which was glorious.
Congratulations.
Nice. So the polar opposite.
You weren't the only one. Lance can say that at this table.
I have never had a week like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've ever had a no Zwift week either, actually.
It's been a minute, but I used to kind of always just ride outside, and then all of a sudden I got soft and old, and I don't know. I can only do it so many days in a row.
It's terrible. I'm just soft and young, man. I just need to stay.
Even during like summer months when it's nice and the days are long, I still find myself on the trainer at least once a week just because that's what the schedule will permit. Like if I've only got a certain amount of time and I want to optimize it and I don't want to have to get a bike ready and get myself ready and go out and ride and come home and get changed, I can just go jump on the trainer. It takes me 30 seconds to get ready, go ride, get it done, go jump in the shower, and I'm off and running. So for efficiency's sake, that's it's a good setup. But it's really nice just to ride outside.
It is nice.
So this past week, though, we kind of like opened the door back up to all of the group rides that we've been doing, and it's been fantastic. We did our gravel ride on Tuesday, which was a lot of fun. There's stories there, but we don't need to get into that. Then we're doing a shop ride out of the lab here on Wednesdays at 12:30 for anybody that's interested, that's in the Vancouver area and wants to come out and join us. You can get all of the info from Strava for the invites that come out for that, and that's been a lot of fun. We had a decent little group for that, and then we did the flogging ride. The flogging ride is back. Flogging 1 happened last Thursday.
You talked about it being kind of a chiller ride for the first one.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Yeah. Normal dialed training ride.
Correct. But, I mean, there was still, plenty of other people. There was a lot of people that showed up, and I was pleasantly surprised at how many people came out. At the beginning of the week, there was some threat of possibly being some weather. It couldn't have been a more beautiful day. I mean, there was a couple scattered clouds in the sky, but it was just like more of like making the sky look nice, and it was warm and blue skies for the most part, and the temperature was perfect, and everybody showed up, and we had all 4 groups ran, and wow, that's your boyfriend Josh Mondo calling right there.
Nice.
Sorry, Josh, I'll have to get you back later, bud. Anyhow, it was every group was represented. The D group was a little bit on the smaller side. I think they only had like 5 people, but the rest of the groups were all 10 plus, and I think the A group was something like 13 or 14 people.
Holy cow.
A lot of Pacific Automation guys came out too, right?
There was a couple of them out there, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. You know who's fast? Paul First.
Paul, yeah.
Holy crap, that dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he won the first half on a breakaway, and the second half, I still don't know who won that because I actually had to peel off. I had to get home to help out with my son, so I missed the final downhill sprint section because, I was trying to be a good husband. But anyway, it was a great week. We did the gravel ride, and that was spectacular. Go ride Jones Creek. Go do the little loop up there. It's fun.
It's a lot of climbing.
Yeah.
We only did 35 miles, and it was 4,700 feet of climbing or something like that. So it's more than the golden ratio, but that's what you find on good gravel roads anyway, usually.
Cool. Anyway, that was a glorious thing. So,
Champ Bailey, top 5. I think he's in the top 5.
Hey, Champ.
I mean, I'm not just going to go out.
Champ is here. Champ Bailey here.
I'm all about having fun.
a little remix there for you, Ben. All right, what you got?
The big race that happened this weekend was Ghent-Wevelgem.
Good pronunciation.
Yeah. Was that right?
I have no idea.
Okay. Yes, I was right. Then yes.
Belgium, I don't know.
It was a pretty exciting race. There was a lot of big names in it, and none of those big names actually pulled it off. There ended up being like a 4-man break with was it like 15 kilometers to go or something? It was right near the end.
I'm not sure how far they were out, but I know that the peloton
the chase group was in sight.
Yeah, and
it was an impressive break.
The finish was spectacular. Watching these guys play cat and mouse with each other,
yeah.
like literally coasting. Like, you come around, no, you come around, no, you go first. I'm not going to go.
And Ghent has that ridiculously long straightaway type finish where from the camera you can like see
everybody.
The peloton coming. You're like, oh man, these guys are playing a lot of cat and mouse right now to know how late this is coming.
So pretty fun. It ended up being won by Biniam Girmay. He is an
Eritrean,
which is a little East African
that has
country.
a crazy amount of good aerobic athletes coming out of. For how small this country is, I mean, they have some of the best distance runners ever that have come from there.
Well, it is like, it's like near
I think it's at
Ethiopia,
altitude. Yeah,
so it's at altitude.
Yeah,
so,
they just have. I'll tell you what, man. I was just talking with somebody about this. If these East African countries start sponsoring some cycling teams, Europe is going to need to get ready because we're talking historic levels of aerobic fitness in just their training programs and everything. I mean, and this guy's just a start guy. He's a sprinter. Like, I wouldn't say he's a full sprinter. He's a really good. He was like a Milan San Remo favorite too. He was like in the top 10. Like when you were hearing the list of talking at Milan San Remo, guys who knew the younger names coming in, they're saying like, watch out for this guy. He's got some pop, and he showed he has a lot of pop because that sprint was. I mean, he blew Laporte's doors off.
So
right? Was
4 guys. He ended up with 300 meters to go. He was at the back of the 4 guys, and with 250 meters to go, which is a long ways, he just went for it.
Yeah.
He just that
was
bolted.
A long sprint.
It was a long sprint. 250 meters is a long sprint, and he held him off.
And this was a guy who climbed in the chase group at Milan San Remo too. So he is not just some sit-on sprinter, at this point. Like, this guy has some range, and he is going to be dangerous. He's young. Was he like
21?
21. Yeah. This guy is add another name to the sub 25 group that everybody needs to start watching out for.
Will his team be at any of the Grand Tours?
That's a good question.
That's a great question. And
Intermarché, Wanty Gobert.
I think they might be at the Giro. I think. Okay. I could be wrong on that, but I think that team's been in the Giro before, so they might be.
How long does he have left on his contract before
he snags up somebody, before he's riding for Quick Step? I have no idea. But so I was just talking with Kit about this actually. Sagan's done.
You think so?
Done. These young guys are eons ahead of his pop right now. He's not even close.
He just pulled out of the Tour of Flanders, which I believe is this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't matter. Like, does anybody in their right mind right now think that he could beat Wout or MVP in anything heads up?
No. He would have to.
Something would have to go wrong for a lot of guys for him to win a race now.
I'd still say I don't want to completely write him off yet, and I love Peter Sagan. I think he's fantastic.
I'm really big on making bold claims, and he's going to win the next race. He's for sure going to win whatever race he goes into next. But I think he's done. He's not winning another race that isn't some early season random sprint stage.
Yeah, I just got to wait and see. It's still early. He still could just be trying to get the cobwebs dusted off, and he still could be trying to get everything finely tuned. You never know what he's going to have up his sleeve, but in a multi-stage race, he might have some stages in there that he could potentially win. But
this next generation, I think, is too quick. I think he's part of the. I mean, he was the starlet of his generation, but it's coming to an end here.
Riding off into the sunset right now.
He's not feeling good. That's why he pulled out of this weekend's Tour of Flanders, saying that he's struggling to find race-ready form. He was at Ghent-Wevelgem, but he did not finish after he was pulled from the race ahead of the final climbing loop.
Interesting.
So, might have been straggling back.
He's just in some bad form right now, I think. Yeah.
Living the good life, maybe a little too much. I don't know. He's always been the kind that was always pretty diligent about his training. So I'm hoping that he can.
He had a great career. He's coming down to the end of it. Cool. Yeah.
Champ out.
Evan, do you have any triathlon stuff that you need to put in here?
Let me think. Sam Long is ridiculously fit right now. He's won his last 2 races. And yeah, that's really it. Oceanside's start list is absolutely stacked. There's Alistair Brownlee is going to be there. I think even some of the cycling fans might know who Alistair Brownlee is. He was gold medalist in Rio and London.
Yeah.
Ben
you guys can be riding the same bike now, Evan.
Lionel say, yeah. We're like technically on the same start. We're not in the same race. He's. I'll be in the second race. He can go ahead and go in the first race. But yeah, that's it's like 50 some guys are on the start line. So it's a huge start list. Yeah. A lot of big names. So it's going to be fun.
You gonna go up and say hi?
No, I'll probably try and like do something funny, like run into him accidentally or something like that.
Give him a little slap on the butt.
From what I've heard, I've never met the guy who could be super, super nice. I've heard he's not the friendliest pre-race. That's not his thing. He's not like a goofy Sam Long, or even though Lionel seems intense, like Lionel's actually a nice guy before races. Yeah. Matt Hansen's like the nicest dude you'll ever meet. Matt Russell says hi and borrows pumps, but like apparently that's not Alistair Brownlee's thing. Yeah. So that's fine. I mean, when you're the best, you know. I heard kind of Jan Frodeno's that same way too. He's kind of in his own world. Sure. You know, he'll say hi to people. He said hi to Cassie, which was awesome. But like some of those best guys, I think once they get in their zone, just leave them be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get into the topic for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, you ever been time crunched for training?
No.
Ever? No.
Always.
That is the reason why we brought this guy in over here. Mr. Mike Guyvan is a busy family man. He's working and schooling and doing all kinds of things all the time, yet he always seems to manage to find just enough time to whoop all of our butts.
About to have a third kid.
Yep. So the topic for this week is just time crunch training and getting fast on the least amount of time. Like how do you go about doing that? I know that I sometimes struggle for time too. If I have my way, I want to be somewhere in the 10 to 15 hours. For Evan, that doesn't sound like a lot, but for me, that's a lot. But if I get into modes sometimes with work and family and all the other things where it's maybe going to be 6 to 8 hours, which for me, I know that doesn't work really great, but maybe there's some tactics here that you guys can help folks listen to this, because I do talk to a lot of people and they usually will say, I can afford maybe 4 to 6 hours a week. Is that enough? What's the optimum number, and what are some tricks that we can use as cyclists or athletes in general to get ourselves trained up?
Beef was on 6 hours for a while, weren't you?
Yeah.
Weren't you on 6 for a while?
So I was doing actually.
Also, when you were still
it
riding with me
wasn't
at Tonky,
until last year that I tried to bump it up to 10, but I was on 6 hours for basically always.
That was a long time. Yeah.
And then. Well, we'll go into why I switched up to 10 hours later, but for me, it's all about intervals, 100% intervals.
Yeah.
Does
every workout that you do have some interval structure in it?
Yeah. There's basically the only day that I don't have intervals is my rest day. Yeah. And even then, I still sprinkle in intervals then.
My favorite erg mode workout from you is like 280 for 90 minutes. Just no ramp up. It's just that
was a rare one where I did I did one workout where I held 250 for 4 hours, and then another one 280 for 2 hours, and that was.
And this is what I love about this answer, because I think it's like you could make this such like a clickbaity bicycling.com magazine article where it's like how to get fast off 6 hours a week, and the answer would be like really, really hard workouts. You better be mentally ready to commit to something that's brutally hard.
But do I just keep going?
Yeah, just keep talking. I mean, why did you choose those workouts? I mean, what is it that made those special for you? And then I'm really curious to know, like, what prompted you to jump from 6 to 10 hours? What kind of a difference have you seen there? And if you were to go back to 6 hours, could you still maintain the same fitness you have now?
No. Short answer. Well, the reason why I went from 6 to 10, because I've always heard actually Jake, talk that 10 hours for you is kind of a magic number.
Yes.
And I was like, I'll give it a shot. And I didn't necessarily shoot for 10 hours right away. What happened was because I always rode 1 hour a day. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, and that was right around like on Zwift, it put me like 22, 23 miles
Yeah.
in an hour. And then I was like, well, I'll just bump it up to 25 miles. And then that will typically took me like, to like hour 15-ish.
Yeah.
And I was like, shoot, if I just add another 15 and do hour and a half every
And it
day,
became
and
10
then,
hours a week.
and then do like 2 hours to 2.5 hours on a Saturday, you know, do a longer, like 50-ish mile ride, I'll be at 10 hours without actually adding a whole lot. But now I like hour 45, which is,
Yeah. How long did you mountain bike for before you started road biking?
that sort of depends, because it's kind of like asking a kid, oh, when did you start biking?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like,
When you're 10. Yeah.
but when did I actually start like training? It's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
Like I actually didn't actually start training until I joined Dailed. Everything besides that was just kind of just moseying around.
Out for fun.
But for me, it was going from the 6 hours to 10 hours. Like I could just feel my fitness, because doing the 1 hour, like my fitness within under 50 miles, let's say if I was doing a race or anything like a group ride, under 50 miles, golden.
You were good.
Like anything over 50, I'd start having issues.
Was that after the Oregon Road Race Champ when you had cramp problems? Was that kind of around the time when you realized?
Yeah, and then
because that was in that last attack, right? Is when you started cramping.
Yeah, and then I figured, but then I started putting diet into there, and then once you start putting diet, and the rabbit hole got so deep. It was insane.
I remember like 100-mile rack ride that we did together, and you were just crushing with us until hour 4. And then you just blew to pieces.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden, what happened to Mike?
But that's
like, I don't know.
But that's a funny thing, because
But
then
that doesn't happen anymore.
No,
is what I'm saying.
no, because when we did the St. Hel Windy Ridge ride again, we were hammering home. Like, and that was what, an hour? That was an hour like 5 of that ride, I think, at that point.
Yeah, but even on training camp on that one day, man, I'm so bad.
Anzabrago?
Yeah, on the longest day.
Yeah.
When I went solo for 50 miles, and I felt just golden that entire time. I was,
because really, you look at how many years ago did you join Dailed? Is that 6 years ago now?
Roughly, yeah.
Well, no, it was probably 2018, 17, 18. Like you were towards the beginning.
Yeah.
More towards when we first got the ball rolling on the team. But yeah.
Your training's really cool to watch from that point, actually, because that's like, I think you were always, and this is like anybody's like, oh, I want to be like as fast as Mike Guyman off 6 hours a week. It's like, well, Mike's going to be way too humble here and realize that like not every athlete gets to jump on a bicycle and put out the watts that he does, like, period.
Yeah, there's a genetic component here, folks. I mean,
there's just genetic, and then also childhood, sports you played as a kid, sports you got good at, like things that develop you as a cyclist. And then you put in a mental component to that too, where I think this is because sometimes people want that magic answer and then they don't realize that's like, yeah, you better be ready to really hurt, because I know very few people who can hurt on a bicycle like Mike can. Like
it's kind of funny because like when I just started looking into it, I looked at, you can like Google charts on like what pro numbers are, and it kind of breaks down all the cats. And I was like, man, if I could do 350, and I never thought I would be able to do 350.
You were obsessed
for
with
an
350 when we
for
were
an FTP?
doing
For an FTP.
Yeah.
Like I thought there's just no way. But now it's like I look at it, it's like 350. I was like, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So currently, let's just break some of this down. And again, I don't want everybody to think that just because they go out there and put in 10 hours of work that they can be a Mike Guyvan or an Evan Price. Your current FTP is 380-ish?
Yeah, right now, because I actually after training camp, now that I really ramped up my high intensity intervals. Yeah, I'm right around there.
380, and then your current weight is?
Yeah, that's
I'm hovering just about above 150 right now.
Gotcha. Do you think that you have more watts to gain in your FTP, and do you think you have a pound or 2 or 3 left to lose in weight? Because you're just as lean as you've been. Like you were pretty stinking lean last year.
Yeah. So last year, my lowest I hit was 147, but 147, that was after a long ride. So doesn't really count. This year, and Jake and I talked about this a little bit before the show, just because I'm a massive jerk. I want to hit 145 just so I could be lighter than my pregnant wife.
She's going to punch you in the nose if you say that, dude. Your wife probably weighs a buck nothing when she's not pregnant. So.
Yeah, when she's not pregnant.
When she's not carrying another human being.
105-ish. But like, this is my one chance that I can be lighter, and I will rub it in for the rest of our lives together.
Mike's getting punched when he gets home for sure.
Yeah.
So I still remember when you were working down like under 150. There was when you have like 15 more watts than you did back then. Last year this time.
Yeah. So it was to make a recap the whole thing. Last year we went on a group ride up Larch Mountain, and I was at 165 pounds, and I held right around 350 watts up that climb for 20-something minutes.
370.
No, that was...
that the second time?
That was the second time.
That was when he was light. Yeah.
And then, but Nate held like 400-something watts.
402.
And I still, at 350 watts, I ended up still, I think I was ahead of him by like maybe 30 seconds or so, or somewhere right around there. And then this idea got in my head, well, if Nate held 400 and I held 350 and I still beat him by like 30 seconds or whatever, how much would I beat him by if I lose 5 pounds? So all of this is actually Nate's fault. But then I went on this crazy borscht and brisket diet, and then I ended up losing 15 pounds in 1 month. But through that, I kept training, and my FTP actually even went up. So the next time I went up, I was 15 pounds lighter, but my FTP was 20 watts higher.
Oh,
okay. This is right around the time I got really scared that Mike all of a sudden was now climbing at or faster than I was, which I do not like. And then all of a sudden he got actually lighter than I was at one point. And I was like, yeah, no, Mike's going to drop me on every climb we do together now.
So going back to the nutrition component real quick, borscht and brisket. How did you land on that? I know that the borscht is a very Russian-centric dish.
That's the most Siberian diet I have ever heard. Did you like kill woolly mammoths too and just eat them raw?
No, so like a very classic combination with borscht is it's like a uncut bacon, like a thick one. But because I love smoke and brisket, it's like my specialty. I was like, well, I'll just do meat, and then. So, my whole diet thing is actually pretty funny. Like, well.
I was just saying, I really want to hear this because you've never in detail told me what you were eating.
Yeah,
I just knew it was mostly meat.
the first thing, actually, I didn't even try to particularly go on any diet. I just tried to cut a little bit. So the first thing I actually cut was sugar from my coffee.
Okay.
In the morning, and then I was like, well. So then in the morning, I always ate 3 pancakes. That was a standard 3 pancakes for breakfast. And I was like, well, I'll just eat 2 pancakes. And then I just started cutting little by little because one thing I was very scared or worried about, I didn't want to lose weight and lose power. For me, that wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
So when I was cutting, my eyeballs were glued to the power meter because I was so scared it dropped like 5 points. I was like, I'm eating
all the factory pancakes,
food.
Sugar in the coffee again.
But I did this gradual cutting because I wasn't sure
how a taper kind of a thing.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure. I've never been on a diet before. I've been 165 pounds since 9th grade.
Yeah,
and I still technically am on my normal weight. So I started cutting. First, it was my sugar. And then I basically cut my breakfast by 1/3 and my dinner by 1/3. And then for lunch, I ate fruit, just fruit. Because then I got into the whole gut cleanse. Because I was like, well, I just kind of want to flush everything out. So then I was like, well, I'll just eat like a soup for dinner because, well, it's mostly water. And if I eat like a veggie stew, it'll just help me just kind of flush everything out. But then that got a bit too much. I was like, I need my brisket. I need it. Because
some more protein.
Yeah, because
so I went from veggie soup to like, I'm just going to all
the wife,
brisket.
the wife and kids always want it, and I was like, I can't just look at them eat brisket in front of me and not eat it. So I had the like a 2/3 full bowl of the borscht and 2 slices of brisket, and that was basically.
You also can't
my
be
dinner.
beef mountains without eating brisket. This needs to be your book when you're done with your cycling career. You write about brisket and mountains or something like that.
So for those that don't know what borscht is, can you tell people what's in that?
It's basically a vegetable stew that's really, really heavy on beets. And beets and typically any red fruit or veggie has very high nitrates in it, which
phytonitrates, yes.
Which help with the whole just
power endurance and
just everything.
That's what the Russians knew about beet juice like long before Portland got into it. This is
and I'm a huge advocate of that.
Plus, it's really, really good. Most people think it's like, oh, beet soup, that's so gross.
I'd never had it before, and Mike and his family came down to training camp, and he volunteered to cook the first night because we were taking shifts every night, and he cooked the very first night. He brought down a smoked brisket with him, and he made the borscht stew, and I'm like, I'm going to eat that just because I want to try it, and I know what beets taste like, very earthy and all that other fun stuff, and I thought for sure that I'm like, it would be good, it'd be serviceable, I'll eat it just because I know the benefits of beets. I took a first bite of that.
Like really good.
Oh my God, that was tasty good. Awesome. And immediately, Mike, I need this recipe, and I sent it over to my wife. I'm like, we're having this for sure. So
it's like beets and potatoes and carrots and onions and celery.
Yeah,
so many good nutrients
there's
in there.
almost everything in it.
Yeah.
And it's
tasty.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good.
To wrap up, the answer to how do you get good off 6 hours a week? You eat brisket, borscht, and you do erg mode intervals for 6 hours a week.
Yeah,
there you go.
Speaking of erg mode, one thing once I got the smart trainer, because before I had the dumb trainer, I'd do a hard interval and be like, I'm done. And then you just coast.
Yeah.
Erg mode, I mean, you can turn it off, but erg mode doesn't let you do that. So you have to just keeps
you honest, yeah.
And it improves your whole mental state of overcoming the suck of intervals.
Absolutely, it does.
And like even when you go out on either a flogging ride or a race and there's breaks or literally anything, there's going to be a lot of suck that you have to overcome.
So going back to like the topic of the day, how you get fast on very little training. Borscht. So I'm going to say that to get fast, you're definitely going to want to maintain a good, proper, healthy diet because you need to be able to replenish yourself and you need to make sure that you're going to stay lean and all that other stuff because that's what's going to help you get faster. What about rest? You are a busy man. You are up at the crack of dawn for work. You've got 2, almost 3 kids now, and you've got your family activities, you've got training. How are you doing with rest, and where do you sneak in your training at?
So typically I wake up every day at 3:30, go to do my work stuff. I come home and I immediately jump on the bike because if I pretty much wait any longer, I'm just tired and just basically worthless.
What time do you get off work usually? I know it depends on the project, but
yeah, it depends.
Mike's an electrician for anybody who doesn't know this.
Yeah, typically like I get off work maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Gotcha.
Depending.
That's a long day.
And then so rest wise, it doesn't really exist. I'm tired all the time.
How many hours a night is your body adapted to working off of though? Because clearly, like your rest cycles worked for you. Like if you took your typical person, try to shove them through your schedule, it wouldn't work. But that's
so it's kind of so. I will say this: when I got onto my diet, one of the biggest things that I've noticed is on how quickly I recover from hard workouts. Because before I dieted, I can eat candy like nobody's business, and just like it's kind of disgusting. But when I cut out the sugar and most of the carbs, I will wake up if I go to sleep at like 9 o'clock. I'll wake up at 2:30. I'm like, I'm good to go, and I'm fully recovered. Because, and this is my personal theory, and typically I generally don't eat after 6 o'clock, and the reason is because what I noticed, if I stop eating 3 hours before I go to bed, I feel like my body doesn't try all night to digest the food, but it focuses on actually building and recovering my muscles.
Yeah.
And I feel like I wake up a lot more rested when I eat a little bit less and cleaner instead of just stuffing myself with junk. It's like, oh, I'll just burn it off tomorrow.
Oh, are you listening to this, Evan?
You have a
Your
super
9:30
I know.
p.m.
I was about to say this is hilarious because Mike has like the most like really if you look at this is how like the Eastern European cyclists, which this is only because I read like a bunch of these biographies and this stuff. This is how the Eastern European cyclists trained in like the 50s and 60s because they would eat super meat heavy like diets, but then they had a very specific time they'd stop eating. And they all woke up super early compared to like more like Western European like guys. Like they would wake up at very early hours, which means in theory they might have been getting less rest, but clearly they were doing something right because when they came into like the French peloton at that time and like they were crushing. I mean and then going through the 80s and 90s they were really crushing.
Yeah, because even my brothers after last year they kind of tried it and there's like, dude, I wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning fully rested. I was like, yeah, it's almost kind of weird. Like I told him, it's like I feel like just the body just recovers because it doesn't have to digest all night long.
I can't cite it, but there is science out there that will support exactly what you're saying. Yeah. Like eating close to bedtime, there's a lot of stuff that happens at a physiological level with your body that will interrupt sleep, and it will cut down on like your body's ability to recover and repair, as well as just having deep, restful sleep. So, and there's something to be said about getting that deep, restful sleep.
I'll very respectfully disagree, but that's only because there actually is a debate in the nutritionist environment about this. There is.
Yeah,
there is.
We'll have to pull data. Maybe this could be another topic.
Actually the theory that I subscribe to, which is one person's opinion, is there is a group out there that believes whatever habit you build, your body is going to adapt to digestive wise with recovery.
Oh, all right, well.
So that's and I only bring that because I do know guys like me and a few others that. I mean, we'll eat at like 9 p.m. Usually, and I can fall asleep 10 minutes after I eat and have a full like 8 hours easy.
No, don't get me wrong. I could stuff myself and pass out like that.
Yeah, sure. But it's how you feel when you wake up.
But it's,
I'm lucky. I just know my physiology, somehow I am able to do that every single day.
That's the point right there is there's 4 of us sitting here with 4 very different physiologies that all adapt to different things in different ways. And what's good for me isn't going to be good for you. So, I mean, and that's what everybody should take away with this. A, none of us are dietitians here. So, and B, we're all different people. And even
if you are a dietitian, you have to have studied everybody to know how somebody's going to respond.
But, understanding how much you're eating, when you're eating and what you're eating and all these other little things, it's going to boil down to a formula that's going to work best for you. And you just got to be honest and truthful with yourself in terms of
that formula seems to be brisket and Porsche. That's
now
I'd be all for that.
Brisket. I mean, you're talking about, a meat that's got a little bit of a fatty content to it.
That is literally the best part.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of calories in that. Do you find to have issues with that? Do you have, Lance over here is
gotta feed the engine, man. Feed the
looking
engine.
like, I want some brisket.
Don't drop the brisket, man. You gotta feed it.
So the level of self-control that you have to either have or develop is pretty high.
Yeah.
Because there's times where, it's like any diet, it not fun, but you're gonna encounter serious struggle times where you just want nothing but to stuff yourself with whatever you see.
Yep.
And for me, I can do that with sugar, but with like savory, fatty meats, there's something just.
Dude, I'm so hungry right now. You need to stop this right now. I'm so hungry.
How do you curb the cravings? How do you keep yourself from going back for more? I know that a lot of it is self-control, and it's probably derived from some sort of like competitive gene in you, knowing that like if I go back and do this, and I'm going to lose this many seconds on this climb.
That is literally it. Basically, the only thing that's kind of slapping my hand away from the food is the mentality is I want to be fast for some reason.
Yeah.
Is if I go out and take us Washington large KOM.
That's literally
he's not going to brisket
that's
for a
literally
week.
it. You kind of have to I wouldn't say I have a goal, but you have to. It's like almost I kind of tell the same thing of when people say, "Oh, I want to diet." It's like I always tell them was like, "Well, why do you want to diet?" Like even it's like, "Oh, I want to work out." It's like, "Well, why?" If you want to, like for me, if I work out for the sake of working out or dieting for the sake of working or dieting, in the long run, it will never work. There has to be, for me, a competitive edge to it. And dieting for me, like when I see it, it's like, are you just going to be 2 seconds slower up that climb? Do you want it? And I was like, yes, yeah. So for me, it's like literally, it's all mental. There's like physical wise, there's nothing. It's 100% mental that I want to be faster than Evan. Every time.
You so should have been born into like some like GC role, man. I'll tell you what, like if you had been born into Europe and like your dad had been a professional cyclist before, you'd be like racing in the Giro right now. Like I swear, this is just because Mike's mental game is always like if somebody could go down, was it you, me, and Tonk? And I think it just became you and me because Tonk probably wanted to stop listening at some point. Our text stream going into some of these KOMs is hilarious. It's like down to the 0.10th of what the weight is. Like, where's your FTP at this time? Like, what do you think we can hold for the first 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, down to the second of these things.
Yeah. What carries more weight for you, taking a KOM or getting into a bike race and mixing it up there?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Kind of a KOM.
I was going to say, don't lie on this. Yeah, no, exactly.
Because
that lives on forever and everybody has to
it
look
does,
at it.
Because bike results are temporary.
and for me, it's not necessarily that bike races are temporary because you can win some kind of trophy or something that is permanent. But for me, bike racing it's a lot harder to schedule or sign up for just because most of it's because of family. So I can't necessarily train or diet for races. For me, that's a bad plan because then if something happens and I can't make that race, it's like, oh, man, just threw away a month of training and dieting for no reason. But if I put a KOM, I can technically schedule that whenever I want to. So I don't have an excuse to be like.
So you would say being time crunched keeps you from probably applying your physical prowess, if you will, to an actual bike race because of all the different variables that are going on in your life.
Yeah.
Anybody who's raced with Mike too or ridden with him, there might be somebody listening to this who's like, oh, he's just like a KOM hunter. No, like Mike could go into any bike race, and if we had a team around, like if we had 3-4 guys working for him, he's going to win that race. Like he's got a sprint, he's got definitely the 10-minute power too and all that to like be able to win the races. Yeah. It's not just like you're an engine too. You know, like this is like when I go in KOM hunt, I'm very aware that if I jump to do a bike race, I'm not winning that bike race.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys that on the bike that's good at everything but not great at anything. I'm kind of like how's that saying go?
Master of nothing, good at all, or something. I know it's something like that.
Jack of all trades, master.
Jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah, there you go.
So Lance, if you had to assign a pro rider that reminds you of Mike Guyvan, who would it be? Like right now,
that's a good question.
Oh, that is.
Go in the pro peloton. Who is?
Or how about you, Evan? You got somebody? Well,
yeah, I do. I'm gonna say Thomas Jugent.
Yeah,
rides really aggressive. Always likes to get in the break. Well, a guy who's just gonna do tons of pulls on the front, and even though he's won races, he's probably lost a lot more races because he burns his matches throughout the races.
Can he sprint?
Yeah, Thomas in a small break.
Yeah,
can get out there.
I mean, Mike, you're hitting 1,500-1,600 watts in the sprint, right?
Yeah, the most I've ever hit was, I think, right under 1,600.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that actually might be more than DeGen's sprint. No lie, that might actually be more because DeGen's a small guy, but that's, dang.
Did you come up with somebody? You're just going to agree with Evan and say?
I'm going with Evan. Yeah. I mean, Nibley comes to mind, too, because he can get in the break and he has that power to stay away from the break and he descends like a madman, as he does Mr. Guy.
Yeah, I've witnessed that, yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Ooh, Nibley's a good one, actually. Yeah.
But, this was mostly diet, I suppose. But with training wise, the reason why I started doing mostly, well, not the reason why, but I started watching the Dylan Johnson videos, and he's huge on intervals.
Yep.
And for a long time, I was a big oh, you just have to just max out. And then, but he was like, no, take breaks. So just start doing higher intensity and more breaks. And then once I started doing that, my FTP just kind of went, just rose way
You've like
up.
experimented with your own training for long enough too, where I think it's you literally had you're an active experiment of your own training, because you can look down the logs of all your training. It was all a ton of it's erg mode now.
Yeah,
so you even know like what was effective and what was not.
Yeah, but definitely I don't go into my high intensity intervals without a base. You have to have that good, because if you're trying to start doing high intensity intervals right after, you're going to be puking every day.
Yeah.
And it's, so throughout like winter, I try to do just mostly base training. I'll do like 5-minute intervals at like 300 watts and then take a break, another 300, 5 minutes. And so I'll do, for bases, I'll do a lot higher, like longer blocks, and I'll do like pyramid type stuff. But once I start, try to peak, I'll do 30-second intervals. And they'll be like 6 watts per kilo or even sometimes even a little bit higher. And then 30-second on, 30-second off. And I'll do...
You kind of do like a rondostat type workout
too,
right?
And I try to accumulate 20 minutes worth of high intensity power. And then, but that it helps me by far the most. And also one of the reasons why I started doing that, because I forget if it was a video or an article that I read that, and this was a pro, that he was saying base fitness is actually a lot harder to achieve than peak power. Peak power, it's a finicky thing. It comes and goes. But if you have a strong base, it does take a lot longer to get, but it stays a lot longer. But peak power, you can train within like a couple weeks of a race, which you can't do that with base.
Yeah.
I think
and
that's...
also peak power is really hard to hold. It's if you try to hold it all year, good luck.
It's just not possible, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to come off it. It's going to ebb and flow. I mean, you can have it really peaked out 2, 3, 4 times a year for like periods of time, but then it's going to fall off, and you're just going to have those like, it's just not there right now, guys.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen that plenty of times.
I think the cool part about Mike's training too is I think a lot of people would look at this and be like, oh man, 6 hours a week. That probably means a lot of like 30-second hard intervals, like a ton of VO2 work and stuff like that. It's like, no, like actually a lot of Mike's work was sweet spot is a ton of it. Now Mike's sweet spot's different than anybody listening to this for the most part. It's like,
but
even 300 might be some people's 30-second interval, but a ton of your base train you even got. Because when you erg mode and train the way that you do, where like mentally you don't really need much of a warm up or a cool down or anything, you're like highly effective in that short amount. If you can get in 6 hours of training and dosing in your sweet spot, what some people might mentally need like 8 to 10 hours too.
Yeah, but even right now, my 30-second intervals, I'll only do that once or twice a week.
Yeah,
no more than that, because then you'll just mentally burn out, and then the rest is mostly high base. Mm-hmm. And that's...
What percentage do you like to work off your FTP? Like if you were doing like a 8x8 minute or something like that.
Ooh, so I don't really necessarily go off my FTP. I just go off the Zwift zones.
Yeah.
And the zone 1, 2.
And you just slowly raise them as your base fitness is getting better.
Yeah. Currently, right now, I have my I think my FTP setting on Zwift is 350, 340, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But
that's indoor trainer setting though, so.
Yeah, but even that, like the workouts that I don't necessarily go off of the FTP setting that I have in there, because I know the FTP setting kind of comes and goes, and I don't really want to mess with the Zwift settings all the time. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's mostly knowing what my body is, because there are days that, like even my high intensity intervals, like some days will be higher than others. So, and Zwift has that arrow button to where you can bump it up or bump it down. Yeah. Some days I'll just bump it up a little bit. Some days it's a struggle, and I'll just bump it down. So it depends. But for me, and even there are days that on those high intensity intervals, I literally have to pause the workout to just catch my breather, get a breather. because every day is not the same. There's some days at work that just harder than others, and yeah.
So, Evan, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Let's say you're done with triathlon. You hang up those the triathlon career. You're calling it a day.
I'm still not Mike Ivan.
So no more swimming, no more running for you, and you're just going to focus on the bike. How many hours a week do you need to keep yourself fit and sharp, knowing that you can do all of the fun things that you want to do on a bike? And I know that's a very subjective thing because, like, well, we need X amount of hours. Well, if you're going to be like an endurance, cyclist, and you're going to be doing like a lot of centuries and that kind of stuff, or you're doing like 100-mile gravel races, like the kind of training that you need to do that's going to be very different from, like, say, a 50 or 60-mile race. Yeah. But let's just say hypothetically that you kind of know the kind of stuff that Mike needs to do. How many hours a week are you putting in, and what does that week look like for you?
Yeah, let's say my life got a lot busier and I was like the other three people at this table where I have to raise other human beings and care about somebody outside of myself for once. So if that happened, what I would do if I was not to do triathlon and I was to focus on cycling. Yeah. Life getting busy and me having a job where I know I'm standing a lot, kind of like Mike too, or just sometimes not even the heavy lifting of a job, just the fact that you're standing for 10 hours. I could shrink my train down to 10 hours a week on the bike and maintain, I would still think Cat 1, 2, 3 type power. And the reason I know that is only because I'm lucky enough, and well, lucky is kind of the wrong word because me and Mike both know it takes a lot of, anybody can try this for a year. When you do it for like 10 to 12 years, it's a lot. I've been training high volume a very long time, like going on 12 years now. There was a time period even, I joke with Josh about this, and I might have told Mike, my bike rides used to be, I used to guaranteed try to ride 15 hours a week. This is when I was an undergraduate. I just started road cycling. And I wouldn't, this is right when I started studying physiology. I was like, you just need to put in a ton of volume when you're young. So I would try to ride at 20 miles per hour on my little cat eye on the same gosh darn loop for 3 hours, basically most days. And it was 3 hours. And it was the same loop in Ada, Ohio, in the middle of nowhere. And I thought if I averaged 20 miles an hour, that was like my watt translation. I'm like, I'm just going to keep on doing this. So like Mike said, I just extended out my base period. My base period was like 4 years probably of just riding like that, which who knows what that was wattage-wise. It was just the same sweet spot wattage over and over again. But that, along with a lot of bike racing at that age, was how I built my high-end structure from my base. So after doing that for years and years, I'm able to shrink, let's say I'm training 24, 25 hours a week now, down to 10 hours, and I can still be really fit off of 10 hours. If somebody was training maybe only 12 to 15 hours and you shrink down to 10, you might not see the same results, but I would be able to shove in a lot of very specific sweet spot, longer duration sweet spot, and then a lot of higher intensity work because I've trained for years and years at that mid 20-hour range. It's the same idea in triathlon when I roll my eyes every single time with these terrible marketing pitches where they're like, be fast in a foot, and Lance knows this because this was the polarized era. And everybody's like, be fast in an Ironman off 10 to 12 hours a week. If you ran D1. It's like,
if there's history of aerobic
if you ran 90
there.
to 100 miles a week for 5 years of your life. So it's they like throwing that out because it's like it's attractive to people, but you need to look at what was your base. So what is too much hours wise, whether that's like 12 hours, let's say you're like, my life cannot fit 12 hours. It's like, okay, cool. But the way that when you had a little bit more time in your life at 12, you can maybe shrink down to 7 or 8 and still be fast, but you probably can't cut it by 50% and still be fast. So I think it's just finding for you specifically. You're like, what would be my high volume type work? And Mike is you even were putting in like 14, 15 hours for a little short bit there, weren't you?
Yeah, I think I don't think it was more than a month. But I tried to.
Which for Mike was going to spike his, because these guys been operating off 10 hours now for a while. So his up to 15 is like, his body's going to gobble that up for sure. But he has 6 years now of built up tolerance to that. Somebody else who tries to make that jump just going to be exhausted, not work. So you got to be very honest with what your aerobic history is. Yeah.
That's a question we hear all the time down here at the lab. People wanting to get faster, and unfortunately,
how many hours a week?
Exactly. But a lot of these people that are coming in, like they just took up cycling recently and discovered that I love this. I mean, they're 3, 4, 5 months into their journey.
Just enjoy it first.
You just go out and ride.
Yeah,
I mean, in the beginning, just go ride your bike.
Buy a cat eye first, really, because like not everybody's mental game is built like Mike's over here, or is like we joke about in here all the time. If I was to tell somebody my habits, my diet, my weird times of day training and how I prioritize training, I would never tell anybody to go do that.
Yeah.
Like, well, how do I get fast in triathlon? I was like, give up a lot in life and be not fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the only way to do it. Yeah.
Lance, when you're hitting on all cylinders, what does your training program look like? I know we've talked about this before in the past, but how many hours is like the sweet spot for you?
For me, it's around 15 hours a week when I'm feeling really good, when I'm feeling fit and fast. It's if I'm averaging about 15 hours a week.
Okay.
And usually I've been between 10 and 25 hours a week. There are some weeks where I...
Only 10 and 25?
Yeah.
You had a time period where you were close to like 20 for a little bit, though.
Yeah,
when you were on
there
your
was, like,
cyclocross nationals plan, you were
several months where I went
you were
almost
around
20
20
hours
for
a
a
week.
while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did that for a while.
What's the minimum that you can get by with, though, and still show good positive results?
If it's a very focused training, which includes intervals, probably at least like high intensity intervals, like VO2 max intervals, at least once a week, and sweet spot sessions twice a week, you can do that on like 5 hours a week.
Okay. But can you do that on 5 hours and get productivity out of it?
Yes, I have been able to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, Trainer Road is a very popular training program. It's set up specifically to make you faster. The whole point is to make you faster. The knock on it is you can't do those workouts in Zwift, and so when you're on your trainer, you can't do them yet on Zwift. We're hoping that comes, but that's still a pipe dream. But you know, they have plans where they have a low volume plan, a mid volume plan, and a high volume plan, and the high volume plan is only 7 to 10 hours a week. And so the mid volume plan, I think, is up to 7 hours, and the low volume plan is up to 5 hours a week. So, you know, Trainer Road is something where you can like build a plan in there. You just put in your different parameters, what race you want to do, even if you're not doing a race, what event you want to do, and how to get yourself ready for that. They will set up a plan for you to do that. That includes the sweet spot work, the threshold work, the VO2 work. You know, they'll set it all up depending on what you kind of do. It's kind of a unique system. With
what percentage of people, I was just talking with somebody about this recently, what percentage of people do you think that sign up for Trainer Road actually complete, like, let's say they have a month of workouts, actually complete it, and this is where we're into physiology, and what would be an actual effective dose?
I have no idea what you're asking.
How many people, so let's say it's 5 to 6 hours a week, and for 5 to 6 hours a week, if your goal is I want to get faster and I want to like be racing, like road racing, that means you're going to need to actually complete everything in there. Like, and not just to get in the time, it's like actually complete.
Like in a 7 hour week, there'll be 4 workouts.
Yeah.
One of those will
That's a lot.
One of those will be a recovery workout where it's just, one of those will be an endurance workout. So that's, you know, low intensity. And one would be a high intensity, like VO2 type work, and the other would be a sweet spot work. So it's totally doable.
That's not from what I just recently was looking at all their structure. They have a lot of sweet spot in their build. This is like not like the pre.
In the build stuff. In the
I'm
first
just saying
first stage or two, the first month or two of getting in there, there's a lot of sweet spot build.
Like a lot.
But it depends on what your goal race is. You know, right now I have like an hour and 15-minute goal race in there, so I'm doing hardly any sweet spot. It's mostly VO2 work twice a week.
Gotcha.
So
I think 25% of people actually can make it through a lot of. It's brutal. Like it is incredibly brutal.
It's
what
brutal
puts together.
For me, it's tough because
this is why people reach out to coaches too.
Yeah,
is because this is cool if you're Mike or if you're a robot.
Yeah,
but it's like, here's what people don't get is if you miss one of those.
Yeah,
cool. Entire thing's broken.
No, that's not true because now
it adjusts, but I'm saying your goal is now broken.
Well,
because that's very specific off of that.
Not necessarily, because they now have this AI system with it that adjusts your plan for you. Yeah, so their artificial intelligence algorithm that's working with it now, which is just a new thing in the last year,
like really recently.
Yeah, just this last year.
This is what David was showing me recently.
Your whole program will adjust. If you miss a workout, or if you don't complete a workout, or if you did better in a workout than you thought, it will adjust all your remaining workouts for you. So it's not like It's just like any training plan. Even with a coach, if you sometimes life gets in the way and you don't get a workout done, or you get sick for 4 days.
Yeah,
your goal is gone then too. But with a coach, they can adjust it. These can do that as well.
Do you find it demoralizing though to go out there and look and say, "Oh, another sweet spot that looks just like the one that I did"? And it's just like it feels like Groundhog's Day.
I would
when
never
I'm on that
tell
program.
anybody to go download Trainer Road. Is what I'm saying. I would never tell anybody to go do that. I would say either go out and have fun and ride and don't worry about what you're training and just go out there and enjoy yourself on a bicycle, or go get a coach.
Yeah.
One of the two.
You also tell people to eat at 9:30 at night.
It's worked for me. It's worked for me.
So for me,
to be young and
it is. But I have a lot of
experience.
results and experience that back this up, because training is not an algorithm. Is what I'm going to say. And this is, yes, they have this new program that they think they're adjusting this stuff, but you signed up for Trainer Road with a certain goal saying you can only give 5 to 7 hours. A coach sometimes can convince somebody that, hey, your goal needs to be adjusted because off 5 hours a week, you're not going to be as fast as you think you are.
Yeah, that's true for some people.
That's true for a lot of people, I think.
So Trainer Road and you know how that works.
Yeah.
You go out there,
I obsessively looked at this stuff actually with David because so I know a few people who could nail Trainer Road.
Yeah.
Mike being one of them. Like if Mike signed up for a Trainer Road program and was like, I could do 10 hours a week, he'd be crushing. But he's already found his formula.
Yeah.
Like Mike knows his formula.
So
he's his own best coach.
For me, I know what I need to do, and I need to get certain kinds of workouts in. And I am very fortunate in that I get to create all of the rides that get posted onto Strava of what we're going to do. And a lot of times it's kind of a self-serving thing because I know what kind of a ride I want to do. And if I want to be pushed, or if I want to make sure that I'm going to hold a certain tempo or something like that, I'll schedule a group ride and I'll either make it a little bit longer if I know that we don't want to have as many intervals in there and I know that I need some of that sustained wattage.
Yeah.
Or if it's going to be something that's going to be shorter, punchier, where I want to get a workout that's not necessarily going to be a perfectly structured program. You're going to follow an erg mode, or you're going to follow like you're going to do this many at this for this length of time, and this is your rest interval.
Yeah.
That's where we have the vlogging ride, you know. So we're gonna go do that. And now, if I want
even a gravel ride, VO2,
like
probably some VO2 work.
Yeah, long sustained climbs. That's why we went out and did something like that yesterday. Granted, I wasn't the one that created that route, but it fit perfectly into my schedule of what I need to be working on right now. Yeah. Or if I need to go hold, X amount of watts for 3 hours, I'll go the Battleground Loop, or the metric rack century or something like that. Like I know what that's going to give me. So and I know if I need to do something that's very specific that nobody else wants to do, I will go out and do it by myself. And that all works for me. So
and you've built yourself as an aerobic athlete for a long time now. So you've just like Mike, when we were just talking about Mike, a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
A lot of I know that this is kind of what works for me.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to go download a Trainer Road because you're like, I want to be really fast this year, what you realized with all of that is that it became down to mental motivation as to what got you through all those intervals.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, you're locked in on a trainer and you're staring at, what does David always say? Is it the blue line? I forget. Is it the blue line? The thing that
probably
follows those boxes or blue boxes? Or David said he loves to check off on the blue boxes or whatever. But that takes away all of what made your training special before, which was there was always a motivation, a carrot.
There's no joy there for me following that. I can't do it.
I would just not tell most people. Yes, there are the people who eat at 9:30 and can get a good night's sleep. We know that that's not most people. I completely understand. It's not most people. Most people cannot eat what I have on the table right here and do what I do right now, which
looking
is
at a Snickers wrapper,
which is dumb. Yeah, but carbs, eat carbs, but. Most people cannot do Trainer Road.
Correct.
Most people. Yeah. This is very hard training.
I think what my point is that for the
I'm just disagreeing with you.
For the majority, I know for the majority of people who don't have Guy Vance, fire or drive, or don't have the experience that Jake has and what he's done, or doesn't have the physiology experience that you have, that are trying to get faster and don't know where to start,
hire a coach.
Or don't have the time or money to hire a coach, or are afraid to be. It is pretty cheap, relatively.
How cheap per month?
It's like $18 a month.
That's not terrible.
No,
but you got to buy the smart trainer
and a coach.
Yeah,
no, you don't.
Coaches
you can do these
workouts
expensive outside. By the way, you can do all their workouts outside.
Oh, if you're riding outside, just ride outside for God's sake.
Well, all I'm saying is that it can give you direction on for people that don't want to pay $300 or $400 for a coach a month.
Ooh, I wouldn't want to pay $300 or $400.
Don't know where to start, or how do I find a program? This is an option for them to be able to do structured training that could help them get faster. So
it's also an option to end up hating cycling and burning out way too quick.
Well, people aren't going to do this unless they have a goal.
Not always. I do know quite a few people who I would consider to be very beginner that tried trainer road and were like, wow, I just could not stick with the plan.
Yep.
Or they would miss multiple and whatever their algorithm they're using now. I'm sure just like
one thing that kind of, I don't know, like I heard this at a very early point in my cycling career, was throughout all this training, like when I started, it's like, man, I want to be faster because it's going to be easier. It does like completely wrong.
Didn't
easier.
Lamont say something about that?
Yeah, a lot of people, like if there's...
It doesn't get easier, you just go
get
faster.
Yeah, there's like if you're going to start like doing high intensity intervals and thinking it's sometime going to be like, oh man, that climb is going to be easy. It's like Larch Mountain, that Washington Larch, it sucks no matter how fast I go up that thing. Like I hate that climb.
That'd be the worst.
It does suck. Ever. But when you're looking down there and you're watching the segment live on, I know you turn it off, but we'll pretend that you keep that on, and it shows that you're 10 seconds ahead. That makes you giddy. It makes you happy inside, and it makes you
segments. I know you
makes it suck a little less, you know, because you're going that fast.
Well, I will say that the last time not the last time, but the last time last year when I attempted the KOM attempt, and I was watching. I didn't have this live segment, but I was watching my power, and I knew what what it should be and what I was pushing. I was pushing I was pushing 370. My goal was actually still push like 350. I was pushing 370, and I was feeling good. Jeez. Like it was so weird. I was
waiting. You're like, when's this gonna start hurting even more? When's this gonna start to really suck?
Oh, it's only 370. Okay, let's ramp it up. It was just like I felt good that day. It was, but that's the one thing that I suppose it does get easier, but that's about it. But like thinking it's like, oh, it's gonna be easier on a flogging ride or something like that. It won't be easier because then once you get faster, you're gonna be the one dishing out the flogging. So it's a very funny thing.
You know, to get fast off of like short amount of time too, you could just join a cycling team and talk to enough guys. Like if you have the Mike on the team, or like the Jake on the team that's been on the team, or Lance who's been training since like 1962, I think. This is like you could ask those guys, and you can kind of structure together, be like, okay, if I really want to get fast, like not just like I want to better. There's a difference between I want to get fast and I want to better myself. I actually do think there's a difference there because. Mike, would you say your goal is to better yourself? Nah, come on.
No,
it's not.
Not at all. Like I literally just want
to be the best. Period.
Be the best and cause pain for other guys.
Yeah.
Like.
So if you're not that guy, then you just kind of want to make yourself better.
Yeah.
Join a cycling team and just like be around guys who have done it for a while and realize like, oh, you know, Lance usually goes on like, well. Lance, back when he was a dentist, goes on does a longer weekend ride, and then during the week he does one pretty spicy ride, and he tells me he rides pretty easy on other days. And I rode with him once, and I was able to keep up with him. So there's my 3 riding days right there.
Yeah.
And save yourself the $18 a month.
Like one of my,
I'm just talking down Trainer Road right now because I still love that Dylan video where he tried to punch a hole in Trainer Road for a second, and everybody just came down on Dylan. They're like, oh, they research it so much though. They're like, well, yeah, but they didn't realize that physiology and research is in a vacuum and not like real life. But
for the 99.9% of people out there who are riding bikes, do you think they need something that specific?
No.
Yeah, I mean that's where I break it down. It's like you can do all these fancy programs.
Do you want to get fast or do you want to just get better? That needs to be the question. Yeah.
A long interval day, a short interval day.
Yep.
You want to have a day off. You want to have an active recovery day in there. You want to have like a nice little I don't know, like a zone 2 ride.
Fog half Friday.
Well, and then having a group ride built in there, and then a day where you just go for a long ride. You do those basic things right there, and trust me, you will get faster.
You could even do your VO2 day on a mountain bike if you wanted.
Try and hit that 8 to 10 hour mark. That's a golden number. If you've only got 5 to 6, just make sure that you're getting the quality work in there. Make sure that you're doing the harder stuff, and you're getting those longer intervals and the shorter intervals, and you're going to get good results. And just know it's going to take a little bit longer. It's going to take you longer to build up that base fitness. It's a little bit longer to get sharpened, and know that you're not going to be able to be super fast or super sharp all year round, and just do what you can.
Last fun question. If you take somebody with decent base fitness, let's say they were like an athlete from another sport before, they ran when they were younger, they swam when they were younger, maybe now they're hopping on a bike and they know how to ride a bike and they come from mountain biking, let's say.
Yeah.
Let's say you have Mike Ivan 7 years ago. just without the mentality. So you go, if they said, no, I want to be like fast. I want to be like P12 fast one day. I know this is what I want to do. How many years does it take that person?
And they're just new to the sport?
New to the sport, but they have a very good athletic base.
I'm going to say at least 3. I'll just say 3.
We were close, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say 4, but yeah. Mike?
On the skinny side, yeah.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say 2 to 3, but it depends on the person. It's kind of it's hard to say.
Yeah.
How quick they want to burn out.
There are some special people out there that could probably do it faster, but I think for just a good athlete coming out of there, give me 3 years with that person.
Yeah.
As long as they can stay consistent and they can stick to the plan. Yeah.
Yep.
That's kind of my 2 take. So let's answer the question. I don't know if we did a very good job of answering. How many hours a week do people need to get fast?
That for me, that's a very because it's
everybody's got to get a firm answer. Because I was gonna say it depends, but
for me, that's the same question on when people ask me. It's like, oh, what is a good bike?
Yeah,
and it's like for me, it's like that's nearly impossible to answer because my definition of a good bike and your definition of a good bike is wildly different. Like there's even a couple weekends ago, this kid asked me, I'm at my in-laws and he asked me, he's like, oh, what's a good bike and how much should I spend on it? I was like,
a BMX bike.
First off, you're asking the wrong guy. Because and I asked him, it's like, how much is a lot of money on a bike for you?
Yeah.
And he was like, $1,000. I was like, my cheapest bike is $3,500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like our standard. And same thing is like, and that's the same thing when people is like, well, what is fast for you? Mm-hmm. It's for me fast. And for, let's say for somebody, for like my wife, fast is completely wildly different.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So it's for me, I'd ask them like, well, what is fast for you? Mm-hmm. And for example, if for them fast is, let's say if they want to do, let's say for like our flogging ride, they want to be fast in the D group or C group. That's fine. It's a different thing if it's like you want to be fast in the A group.
Yeah.
It just depends. For me, bare minimum, an hour a day. So I'd say about 6 hours a week.
Yeah.
Bare minimum, huh?
Bear's good at I would say, I would say if you want to be in the A and B group and you want to actually be taking pulls and like covering attacks, let's say that puts you as like a Cat 3 guy, maybe Cat 2 guy, 8 to 10. I think it's bare minimum.
That too, yeah.
If you want to get into a road race as a 4-5, 6. Yeah, 6.
So somebody that's going to go out and race 30 to 50 miles in a Cat 4 or 5.
Yeah,
okay.
6.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say 6.
6 hours?
Yeah.
Gotcha. That is super skinny, and you're going to be making gains. You're going to get faster. You're going to have good results.
That's what your typical gym goer does.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, more efficient, because that gym goer has to grab the gym bag, go to the gym, shower afterwards there, and drive back.
Sure.
Technically on the bicycle, you just hop on the trainer, and you can be done in an hour while the kids are doing something. So it's
or
like
you can get up before everybody does their thing.
Yeah, just at 2:30 a.m.
Whatever. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I'd say about 98% of all my rides are on the trainer, just because it's. You'd think that it's just as fast as hopping out on the road. It's actually even faster just hopping on the trainer.
Oh, so much quicker.
And with the intervals that you can do on the trainer versus the road with stoplights and cars and the terrain of the road is not there. Trainer, for me, is by far the most efficient way to train.
It is efficient, yes.
Mm-hmm. Because you can dial in your intervals, your training down to the T. And a lot of stuff that I did, I actually kind of, you guys all know who Tyler Pierce is, the vegan cyclist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I actually screenshot his workouts on that he posts on. And
I know which one you're talking about because he does your style.
I copy a lot of his workouts. But besides that, I just kind of.
He's been training like 20 hours a week, though.
Yeah, but let's say, for example, he posts like a monstrous, like a workout, and I'll just fit it to my own.
Yeah.
Just because I sometimes get bored of my own workouts, so I'll just copy his, but I'll just make it fit my schedule. So
time crunch, you can still make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing you don't want to do though is ride every day for 500 days. Don't do that. That's dumb.
That could be too much.
Idiots.
Even more important than the recovery ride is the recovery day.
Yes. All right, so it's a very subjective thing. It's very relative to what your goals are. But yeah, I think this was a good topic, and having Mike in here and finding out a little bit more about what's under the hood here in terms of like
the expert on this. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because there's a pretty stark contrast. I mean, we could put you guys both out there on the road and say, go have at it. And you're 20, 25, 30 hours a week. But granted, you're training for 3 sports.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely well, and also my style of training is way different than when me and Mike were chasing KOMs together. But that's about to change. I'm trying to gear.
So
I look forward to every spring to just waiting for whatever Mike's got on his plate for KOMs.
Let's say that the family wasn't an issue. Let's say that work wasn't an issue, and you guys had all of the time in the world to train. How many hours a week would you be putting in on the bike, Evan?
Oh, me.
30. If it's just the bike,
30 hours a week.
You would so if you wanted
guaranteed 30 hours a week,
you would be training 30 hours a week.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. How about you?
But if Mike was training 20, I would put my odds on Mike being faster than me.
Why is that?
I know this guy's training well enough to know that if Mike Ivan was training 20, if Tonk is listening to this, and I said, Tonk, if Mike was training the way he trains for 20 hours a week and did not have to stand all day, how fast would he be? He'd be in a Grand Tour. Wow. Not making that up. Yeah.
For me, I would love to do 30 hours a week. It would tickle me pink.
You know how many hours a day that is, right?
Let's quit this stuff and go to Turkey with Kent Ross and start training 30 hours
I've actually even joked with my wife that all I want to do, I want to quit work and I want somebody to pay me to bike and cook food. That's all I want to do.
Borscht and bikes.
But
how many hours would you be training a week? I mean, you do it right now. I mean,
I can train as much as I want to right now.
Where's the happy spot for you?
But Lance actually enjoys
15 hours a week is plenty for me. When I'm doing 25, 30 hours a week,
what if you were
it's
30?
Too much.
What if you were 30 again?
I'm not 30.
What if you were?
I'm almost 52.
Because 30, you had 6 hours a week to train. 7, right?
No.
8, maybe.
Maybe. Not even that.
Yeah.
I was working like 90 hours a week, 80, 90 hours a week when I was 30.
How many hours did we do at training camp? Was that 25, 30, somewhere in there?
I think in those 8 days, it was only like 24. Because
you would have needed to be like a 45-minute trainer guy. Like, that's it. You would have had 45 minutes at 4 a.m. or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Love riding bikes, but I've got too many other. Like, if you take all the responsibilities off my plate and call me retired, I'm still not going to ride that much.
That's what I'm saying.
I've got too many other hobbies and things that are interesting to me.
I have all the time I want to ride right now, and 15 hours is plenty for me.
That's kind of where I think I would gravitate to right now as well. Like, get up, go do your ride, then go find something else fun to do in the day.
And I think you guys would do it
rocks.
for more like pure, like I know Lance at least. Like, Lance just loves biking. Loves. I mean, I don't I love biking, but like at this point in my life, and I know Mike's the same way. Like, if you took away, like if they took away KOMs, watts, racing, and everything else, I would really struggle for motivation. That is for sure. If there was not a direct competition, like if I did not need to beat somebody badly, that would take away a lot of my drive.
Yeah, it's all about the competition for me. If it's not that, like one of my, and this is just goes to show on how big of a kind of a ass I am when it comes to cycling. Like nothing puts a smile on my face than when I go up to like join or able to join the flogging rides and nobody likes it that I showed up.
Gosh dang it, Guy Van's here.
I still remember, if anyone wants to know like how not fun we would be to ride with, is like, so we did the Windy Ridge recently, and we made the dumb decision to start 30 seconds apart, didn't we?
Yeah, well, because it's the start to it is kind of, it's very hard to start there exactly at the same time. But we started about 30 seconds apart.
And like Mike is driven by wanting to make me suffer as much as humanly possible, and I'm driven by not wanting to lose that bad because I just cannot lose. So we literally finished at the same time, starting 30 seconds apart on a 45-minute climb.
Yeah, which we need
to
take
went second?
that back.
What?
Who covered the gap?
No, we tied on time, didn't we?
Oh, you were exactly the same time.
Literally exactly.
Started 30 seconds apart.
Literally the exact same time.
Yeah, because there's the
exact same time.
The start to it is it's a really steep descent, and then it immediately kicks up. So if you're not on that guy's tail,
I was like
right away, it's like you're. And then we had like this RV that we had to go around, but if you have to be on that guy's tail the entire time.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Great.
All right. Well, I think that's enough of that. That was
Just
fun.
ride bikes for fun, folks.
Yes.
Oh, man. Yeah, ride 10 hours a week if you got the time and just enjoy the sights.
Ride it for the pain.
How about a little one last thing? Evan Price, you got a one last thing for us?
Yeah, I just packed the bike. That was fun. I'm getting better and better with the time machine packing.
Yeah.
Better and better slowly over time. Yep. And race is on Saturday.
Saturday. When do you fly down there?
Thursday morning. And we got a fun house this time. Right? It's going to be me and Cassie. We got an Airbnb like really close to the water and Oceanside, which would just be an awesome vacation too. But we got Tyson Weiland, Stephen Parker, and AVT that are staying with us. So it's like a little pros house, which is going to be fun.
Sweet.
Cassie's got to deal with all of us, but it's cool. I told her I want her to just like go out on runs and like enjoy the vacation, and me, Stephen, and Tyson and AVT can just deal with our bikes and stuff all together. So
Sweet.
yeah.
Mike, you got one last thing for us?
I'm coming for you, Josh Munda.
Ooh, shot fired.
Hopefully this Friday.
Oh, that's funny. Lance, one last thing.
I'm going back to my triathlon roots. I'm going to Oceanside to do the 70.3 this weekend.
I know you're not, but do you want to drive down and just watch me?
No,
It'd be so much fun to have you there.
There's
Oh my
no
God,
way you're
come
getting
on.
me in the water again. I am going to race my bike this Saturday, though. The Mudslinger mountain bike
nice.
race is
Sweet.
this Saturday, so I'm hoping to go line up down there and see how much fitness I've lost. That should be fun.
Is that going to be your first mountain bike race of the year?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay. Nice.
My one last thing, other than come out and do all the rides as normal, is did you guys happen to catch Vegan Cyclist's little video that he put out about the
been watching this stuff.
crit cross?
Oh,
Yes.
the crit
That
cross.
How
looks so awesome.
freaking awesome.
I was like,
Carlos,
we need it.
like,
We need
I
it
had
right
so
now.
many people message me right after that.
Yeah.
We're like, oh my God, we need that race.
How do we get that up here? It looked like almost like a go-kart track.
Can I just be the flag waving guy?
Well,
like, I'll just wear a
like
Speedo.
PIR would be the ideal location because there's
Yeah.
everything set up, but I just don't know the logistics.
They won't let us do it there. Yeah.
But that looked so much fun. I was like,
Who's got the most land here that we
I
can
don't
just
know. We just
mess
need
around
somebody
with?
like with 5 acres.
Who,
and we can go
yeah,
make something
that's what I'm
freaking
thinking.
killer.
Just like, yeah.
I don't know. Lance, go buy some property.
All right. I'll see what I can do.
Can we do it?
Well,
can
what
we do it
about-
at
what
Lance
if-
Cup
well,
with the
no,
rocks?
they wouldn't let
No,
us
we
do
can
that.
take all the rocks, all the 2,000 pounds of rocks that Lance has, and make different gravel routes.
There you go.
by Fort Vancouver, but I don't think they'd let us.
I don't know.
Because Fort Vancouver
would actually be kinda cool.
Fort Vancouver has that little paved section going up through the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I don't know where we'd possibly even built like a dirt jump kind of section.
Yeah.
There's a gravel.
It'd
You
be
go
cool.
on grass. You could do. Well, the grass would be tough because then everybody would be on cross bikes basically.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I just watching that video that I watched the whole 30 minutes of it and it was just like listening to him recap.
are there any local, like, I mean, in Portland, do they have any motocross tracks outside of PIR and around Portland?
I have no idea.
Maybe Washougal. Washougal's got a big
Washougal,
one, but
I
I
bet
don't
you they
know.
could build, they'd probably be willing to put something in up there at Washougal if it got people to come out. And that's such a cool little dynamic.
Washougal would be the place to look, I bet.
I'll have to go talk to some folks that know some folks.
You could have K&M Burger, cater it.
There's-
Does anybody know K&M Burger
There's
here?
also a motocross track in the Woodland area.
Yeah.
How are you on the? I forget the highway name.
5? No.
Yeah. How are you going to the what's that reservoir back there?
I don't
Yale or us.
Yeah, or down to Ariel,
Sure.
or to like Cougar.
Yep.
There's going to be a.
You're thinking of Horseshoe. That's Horseshoe Lake.
No, that's in the other
No,
side.
that's on the
Oh,
other
that's our
side.
side,
But
never
there's a
mind.
motocross track there that they don't. It's not used as much now. That I think would be actually
That would be cool.
pretty cool spot.
That would be so awesome.
All the listeners right now.
We all lost it.
Awesome. Well, anyway, I thought that was a cool video. If you haven't checked it out, go to Vegan Cyclist channel on YouTube. You can go watch the little crit cross thing, and that might plant some seeds. And that, folks, is what bike racing needs: is new, innovative stuff.
Yeah.
It needs to get people excited about
The
this.
American crit scene can be creative, and it needs to start doing that because that's
you go.
awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we do appreciate everybody listening. I know this was a long one, so thanks for hanging in there with us. We will be back next week with another podcast. Until then, bye for now.